This one is called CSIS Bill C-51. And I know last time I said that I read from the Institute for Scriptures and Research, and I just kept going on as if I was actually going to read from it, and I didn't. And I'm probably not going to do that for this one either. It's just more research that you can look into. But I do like to say what Bible I read from in case people like are curious and they don't have to go looking and trying to find which one I read from, because I don't say it in my description unless I forget to say the thing at all. So I just like to say that. So here it goes. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, from Greek to English, and Hebrew to English. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only, and he's an extremely jealous El. He's so jealous that he doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones to come to our lips. And Yah is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yod-Heh, Vav-Heh. It's like saying Dan, Daniel, Daniel with an E. What is the difference and does matters when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name, when no, they're not, and no one in their right mind would ever believe that, and only a fool would believe that a hammer could force its creator to do anything, and there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic texts, because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahoshua, died on a stake for the sins of all of humanity over 2,000 years ago. And a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yahoshua, is Joshua, and I strongly believe that the son of Elohim's name, Yahoshua, means Yahweh is salvation. Excuse me. Not only do like that one little bitty part at the beginning maybe not really matter, but the rest of it I find it very important to say every single time. But CSIS, CSIS, Bill C-51, Free Expression Canadian Civil Liberties Association. Don't worry, Bill C-51 considers the Canadian Civil Liberties Association to be an act of treason, terrorism. They can treat them like terrorists. They can do what they want, because in this country you live under a Nazi rule. You have no freedom. The quicker you learn you have no freedom, the quicker you can realize what's happening and what's going on. And maybe we could stop it, but I seriously doubt it. 70% of this country is totally for this fascist regime. I don't think there's going to be any stopping it unless we get violent. And yeah, I don't think that even if we get violent, that it'll work. I think that what Yahweh's word says will happen, and we should not make it worse for anyone else. But this is quotations. The Charter of Rights is the supreme law of the land, and nobody, not the judge, not the prime minister, not anybody, can authorize the violation of the Charter of Rights. The only way the Charter can be disregarded is with the notwithstanding clause, which lets a government override a court ruling that a law is unconstitutional. Paul Cavalluzzo, Cavalluzzo, rights lawyer. I'm unaware of any law in any liberal democracy that attempts to authorize a judge to permit an agency of government to violate the Constitution, because that's not what a liberal country does. A liberal country stands for the liberties of the people. Trudeau is not a liberal. He is a fascist. He is a capitalist for the rich. He doesn't care about people. He cares about his pocket. That is it. The man is a terrorist. Excuse me. Inversion of the judiciary's role as a protector of constitutional rights and a violation of judges' independence from government, because judges shouldn't be uh, given the opportunity to be like, hey, this government official can pay you. I mean, that's bribery. I mean, like in the legal system, they call it lobbying, but it is literally bribery. But they're supposed to protect the constitutional rights, which is the supreme law of this country, and they're not supposed to mingle with policies of corporations. That is a violation of the Constitution, deserving the death penalty for treason, in my opinion. Excuse me. Bill C-51 threatens the right to liberty, free speech, privacy, freedom from unreasonable search and seizure, and the move between provinces, as well as leaving the country. You have the right to stay in and or leave this country if you so please. But I do not. I am not allowed to leave this country because they consider me a terrorist because I stood up for my rights. Not sure if they still do, but haven't said anything otherwise. I was thinking about going overseas to preaching the word, but excuse me, I'm clearly supposed to do it here. Let's just say that. Bill C-51, yep, excuse me. Mahar Arar. Mahar, Maher, Arar, Arar. Tortured after deported to Syria. International Jihadist Movement Anti-Terrorism Act 2015. Whereas information in respect of activities that undermine the security of Canada is to be shared in a manner that is consistent with the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the protection of privacy. In other words, if they don't have real evidence that you are a criminal, they are not allowed to give your information away. And if companies had the backbone when they were told by their government, hey, you have to give us this information, is it legal? It doesn't matter. Oh, it does matter. Grow up, put that backbone back in there, be an adult, and say no. War Measures Act 5 George v. Chapter 2 Statute, Parliament of Canada, Declaration of War, Invasion or Insurrection, and the types of measures that could thereby be taken. World War I and II, 1970. Hold on one second. The 10th month, 1970 crisis. Suspension. Oh, the 1970 crisis. I think I know what this is. I could be mistaken, but I could know which one this is. Oh, it comes up at the bottom. I was reading through. I was like, does it show it? I really want to say it. Just shows how Nazi our government really is. Anyways, it's down there. So I'll just keep reading. Suspension of civil liberties and personal freedoms as well of Ukrainians and Europeans. I don't know why Canada has say over Ukrainians and Europeans, but okay. Canada's national internment operations of 1914-1920, Japanese Canadian internment, 10th month crisis, eighth month, 22nd day, 1914, repealing legislation, Emergencies Act in 1960. The act was amended by the Canadian Bill of Rights in order to ensure that actions taken under the act were deemed not to be infringements of the later statute, and the proclamations to bring the act into force were subject to abrogations by both the Senate and the House of Commons. I would just like to point out the Emergencies Act. That was the act that stripped us of our rights. Because it was the Canadian Bill of Rights that went over top of the Emergencies Act, but it was the Emergencies Act that stripped you of your right to bear arms. Only emergency services are allowed to, sorry, and you must have a license, and you must do all this crazy stuff that really doesn't matter, because that most recent shooting here in Canada, over here in Nova Scotia area, the guy was dressed as a police officer in a police officer's vehicle, and he got his guns from America, crossed the border, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure is illegal. Yeah, most of what he did was 100% illegal, and he completely got away with it, and the government didn't do anything. Not to mention when people were calling 911 saying, hey, this man is shooting people, the government did nothing. They ignored it. They said, whatever. Let's let it happen. Terrorism by our own government. Guns are not the problem. Terrorists are the problem. People who violate the constitutional rights of citizens are the problem. National Defense Act, Canadian Forces, Front de Liberation du Quebec, FLQ, kidnapped British diplomat James Cross and Quebec provincial cabinet minister Pierre Laporte Laporte. He was killed. The provincial cabinet minister was killed. Militant faction rising up against the government, apprehended insurrection, 10th month, 16th day, 1970. They were called separatists. Everyone who was there was killed, and our government just got away with murdering people because these people wanted the government to change, and they went in there and they did what they could, although I think they went about it a little more violently than it probably could have gone because they killed somebody, although maybe that guy was probably seriously taunting them because this man didn't care about their freedoms anyways. Neither of them did. They both should have been shot anyways, like by the justice system. That's the thing. You shouldn't just be able to go out of your way and kill people. There should be a justice system like that you would use in your communities, you know? Like, this guy broke into my house. He won't stop breaking into my house. Okay, stick a bullet in his head. Problem solved. Or this guy broke into my house, so I squeezed the trigger and he died. Oh well, maybe he shouldn't have broken into your house. When you violate the rights of other citizens, you give up your right to life. And vice versa. Uh, Apprehended insurrection, 10th month, 16th day, 1970, gives police more power in arrest and detention. 12th month, Gallup poll, GALLUP poll, POLE, 465 arrested and held without charge. So they just literally kidnapped 465 people and said, you will bow to us and we'll release you later, maybe. New Democratic Party, Tommy Douglas, the government, I submit, is using a sledgehammer to crack a peanut. Direct threat to civil liberties, removing rights such as habeas corpus, HABEAS corpus, CORPUS, from all Canadians. Lori Lapierre said that Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau's move to suspend habeas corpus as more of a reaction to the separatist freedom. By the way, those separatists, those people, that's exactly why they did that, because they stood up for freedom and they realized they can't have any freedom. We must strip them all of it or we will lose our power, and that's what they did. To the separatist freedom movement in Quebec by criminalizing it, Emergency Planning Act 1981 exigencies, EXIGENCIES. In 1988, the Emergency Act was passed and the War Measures Act was repealed as a consequence. Habeas corpus defeated in 1980. In the 1980s. We lost all our freedom in 1980s and now they're just squeezing us for it. Making sure we know. Anyone who doesn't know, they'll make you know. Hemp to run the world, this says. Yeah, I'm still really big on that, to be honest. Hemp does everything that petroleum does and better. Extracting fossil fuels are harmful to the environment and to human health. Petroleum extracting is a chemical-intensive, expensive process. Hemp oil for fuel is simply a matter of growing, harvesting, and processing. Petroleum-based plastics are not biodegradable. Hemp-based plastics are recyclable and biodegradable. Fuel for transportation can be replaced with hemp-based biofuels. Hemp fuel is clean, efficient, if it. Oh, I see. Sometimes I write my words too big on the lines and it looks like it's a period, but it's just the dot for the I underneath. Okay, yeah. Hemp fuel is clean, efficient, and if it spills, it doesn't harm the environment. It's more like a fertilizer, unlike petroleum, which, as we noticed, I think there's one thing I took a picture of. There was an incident that happened in like 2016 or something. That said it was going to take 2,800 years to clean up and to restore. It's like, wow. When you could have something like this that acts more like a fertilizer than a destroyer, but it's cheap, and big oil doesn't get their profit, but the people get what they need at a much better cost, which is what I care about. Is what the people need, not these corporations. I would love to be Prime Minister of Canada, but I'm pretty sure that the Prime Minister has no power already, so I don't know. I'd have to completely destroy the entire government, put my own trusted people in power. Oh my goodness, it would be beautiful. Oh my goodness, the goodness I don't have. Anyways, big oil, pharma, timber, and chemical companies and the military don't want to lose their investments, oil. Farm hemp on a large scale to start the healing process without petroleum. Cut back on military expenses. In other words, bring all our soldiers home because we don't need them in other people's countries. We need them in our country protecting our border, that's all. Safe alternative for food, clothing, health, transportation, housing, and so forth. Stopping the government from printing more money equal debt. Legalize industrial hemp farming and decriminalize marijuana in Canada, and also make it illegal for big pharma to be able to sell any of their garbage. If there is a natural form, the natural form will be pushed first. That's what I want. And not natural saying, oh, it's 100% Monsanto, we grew it, it's natural. No, it's not. That is not natural. Is that all of it? Huh. I think that's all of it. Yeah. Well, I guess I can sit here and talk for a little bit. This this new law that Canada just recently, well, if we're hearing it about it, it's more than likely already been passed. That's what I've come to realize in this country. So when I heard about it, I just assumed it was already passed. Because again, our judges, our court system, no one there cares about the Constitution. It's it's something to wipe your butt with to them, which is a shame. Um, this carbon tax and all this crap is a complete joke, and it looks like Trudeau is going to be squeezing Alberta, which is where I live, uh, to try to get them to completely submit. And I hope we just become our own place. If we do the hemp fuel and we actually stick to the goodness of the place we have, we can take care of it and it'll do good. But if we abuse ourselves and abuse ourselves and abuse this planet and abuse this planet, we won't have anything left. If we keep choosing the most harshest way, like Alberta oil sands, the worst oil in the world, the most harshest on the environment in the world is Alberta oil sands. Where I live, the worst in the world for the environment. Dude, that's like retarded. Why don't we just stop with that crap? If we use those engineers to build stuff for the hemp, to make massive hemp productions of organic hemp, not this big pharma garbage. Just there's so much we could do, and these incompetent police officers, get rid of them. Defund the police. We don't need police, we need Constitution officers, those who respect the constitutional rights of citizens rather than the policies by corporations. Completely defund the police and immediately replace them with Constitution officers, and anyone who wants to be a Constitution officer has to know the Constitution and has to respect it. And I would totally give the citizens the right to bear arms. 100%. I mean, you got 2 on your body all the time. What's a couple more? Oh boy. I look outside, I see the air we breathe. See it. Sometimes I can see it. Winter's coming. It's starting to say that it's going to snow. That's alright. I really wanted to go camping, so this is like literally perfect timing. I am so thankful to YahWeh that it said it was going to start snowing, and I think it is snowing and actually raining in Ghost Lake, so that is just amazing. Can't wait to go to the Plus Zone, hang out with my buddy, shoot some guns. Oh yeah, we need to get some more paint for our metal targets so that I can actually see it. And since it's fall, we have to choose something that's... I don't know if it can be like too bright, because everything that's dead is going to be like almost white to like maybe like a reddish, so it can't be anywhere between that and the colors. Maybe like a blue, like a bright neon color of some kind that isn't yellow or green, because they're both basically the same. Oh, then we're gonna... I got my hammock, dude. All my stuff literally fits in my backpack. My one backpack I take to go camping with. I mean, now that winter's coming, I'll be wearing snow pants, maybe a jacket, so I'll have to do a little bit more rearranging of what I stick in there, but it will be interesting. And please, YahWeh, please let it just pour in Ghost Lake, all over the place. I'll make the fire bans, make it rain so much that the fire bans are gone, but not so much that we can't go camping. Please, YahWeh. And since there's a tent here at home, when the Feast of Booths comes up, I want to be outside for the entire week. I got a battery so I can charge my stuff. Just read the word and just chill outside for a whole week. I mean, I gotta use the bathroom and stuff like that, and there's people around, so I'd probably go inside and stuff like that, but, you know. I think it'd be cool to set up outside for a week. I mean, there was this one time that in the middle of winter, well, it wasn't the middle of winter, I spent the entire winter out there. I set up my tent before the winter even started outside, and I had like, I think like 3 blankets, a bunch of clothes, and 2 sleeping bags and some pillows. And I made that work through the entire winter, and it got down to like, I think it was like minus 40 something plus degrees Celsius. It was cold, and I still did that. So I'm pretty sure that 7 days in the fall season is nothing. And since I go outside and I like the weather outside, I like being outside. It's nice to be outside. That's how you get your immune system up too, is to be outside. Be outside, do things, you know, experience life. I think that only sick people should be wearing masks outside in public. I mean, sure, if you want to follow that rule of wearing masks inside a public place, sure, go for it. I mean, I praise YahWeh that I have an underlying medical condition, as they'd call it. So I don't have to wear a mask. It's amazing. And when I did wear a mask, it was right in the very beginning, when I thought it was something. And it turns out that was really bad on my lungs. And I suffered for a very long time trying to get my lungs back to regular capacity. And smoking weed wasn't helping, because I was still poisoning myself with consistent CO2 all the time. I wasn't breathing that fresh bit of oxygen your body needs. It's not a want, it is a need to breathe fresh air. Therefore, is a constitutional right to take care of yourself by means that you see fit. It's your right to choose, not the government's, your right. You can choose to give up those rights, or you can choose not to give up those rights. That is entirely up to you. I pray that Yahweh give the world wisdom and knowledge and understanding and strength and the endurance to do what's right in His eyes. And I thank Yahoshua for the blood sacrifice. And I thank Him that I am living and not surviving, because I could be outside on the streets. It could be in a lot worse situation. I could not have my tom-tom. I could not have my mom. I could just be alone on the streets by myself, just roaming around trying to survive. But I'm not. I'm here in a home. I've got a bed. I've got a window that locks. I have lights. I've got a lot of stuff. I have running water, man. Do you know what it feels like to not have running water? I know. I was homeless for an entire year. I know what it's like not to have running water. Not to have a bed to sleep in. I remember sleeping in a chair for almost 2 years. One of those lazy boy chairs for 2 years. Or a year and a half, I think it was. I know what it's like to live down there. Like, it sucks. And Yahweh tells us to take care of every single one of us and love us all as if we should love ourselves. And wherever you go, your neighbor, like those people around you, they become your neighbor as you come around them. And take care of your neighboring nations. Don't disrespect them. Don't trample on them. Show them respect. Treat them the way you would wish to be treated. I am very communist. I believe people can be completely free without a government, without a system. This state people talk about, this is that fascism that's still stuck and they just claim communism. But real communism, there is no system. It can't exist. In this world, it will never exist. True communism will be a real thing when Yahweh and Yahoshua return. Literally. I am very, very liberal. I stand for the liberties of the people, and when it comes down to your body, your choice, if you chose to open your legs, you chose an action that got you pregnant, it is no longer your choice. Because now, what about that baby's choice? You're going to murder a child because you decided to open your legs? You already made your choice. It's gone. Your choice is keeping your legs closed. That's your choice. I think if you get an abortion outside of something that may have been an danger to either the child or yours life, I think you deserve the death penalty. And I think people who just want to go out and have sex all the time and just get abortions, we would just sterilize them, snip them, so they couldn't reproduce. I mean, Yahweh is the only one that decides whether you're going to reproduce or not. But if we snip you, then we know it's not up to you no more. In the sense of, you can't just keep doing it. But it's been proven. If Yahweh wants you to have a baby, it doesn't matter what you do, you will have a baby. And I think if you assault a pregnant woman, unjustifiably, of course, if she's attacking you, you don't have to kick her in the stomach. You could avoid the stomach, the chest area altogether. You don't have to do that. But equality, both women and men are completely equal in my eyes. If a woman assaults a man and a man beats the crap out of her, that is 100% the man's doing. That is 100% the woman's fault. You started it, that is your doing. Respect one another. Treat each other equally. YahWeh decides who is the foot and who is the tail and who is the head, who is the eye, who's the brain. YahWeh decides that, not man, not humanity. But if we made it illegal to have companies like Monsanto and McDonald's in this country, and we only allowed organic, like non-GMO, non-pesticided stuff, and that was just the major producer, there was nothing else, uh, it would be amazing. And if all the if it was a change of prices, all that garbage, like those chocolate bars, that would be the expensive stuff, and all the organic stuff, that would be the cheap stuff. So that the citizens actually go towards the good stuff, the healthy stuff, because it's the cheapest one there. And if you want to be, if you, I don't know, if you're more richer, I guess, somehow or whatever down the line, if you want that extra chocolate bar, go right ahead. But that won't be the cheapest thing on the shelf. Also, I would make cigarettes 100% illegal. I would just throw them in the garbage altogether. And of course, when you're decriminalizing marijuana, then it'll help a lot for people who are addicted to cigarettes to switch over to weed, because weed is less addictive than coffee, and caffeine is 10 times more addictive than weed. So there's that. What do I think about these pipelines, these treaties? I think we should respect the treaties, and if the pipelines are so safe, then you should build them in your own property and not mess with the treaties. Um, Thank you, YahWeh, for your medicine. Your medicine that you put on this earth for people to use, not this chemical garbage. Anything for the dollar crap. Drug sorcery, as the Bible would call it. I try to get my cat only organic food. I think they're running low. I still have 2 bags. 2.5 bags, which lasts a long time. Because I bought those back when I first heard about the pandemic, like 3 months after. Um, so the 12th month, the first month, the second month. It was, I think it was the third month in. So 4 months since it happened, roughly. So the end of the fourth month is when I started grabbing stuff. Yep. I was one of those toilet paper people. And you know what? When the world goes down and I can no longer buy or sell anything, I want to know that I have a nice, beautiful stockpile of toilet paper and food that we can leave out. That, it's like dry food. Dry food you can just leave lying around. And my Tom Tom has enough food for a bit. And I'm gonna buy him like another 10 more bags, something like that. Another 10 boxes of cat litter. That'll probably last like years. And Agenda 21 is next year, coming up in a few months. UN Agenda 21, signed by silence. 70% of the world. It's insane. We're screwed. But we're not screwed. If you believe in Yahoshua Messiah as the Savior, as the blood sacrifice, and you acknowledge the Helper as your guide, the set apart Spirit, and you follow what YahWeh believes, and His Word, which is the Torah, the feast, the Sabbath, then I believe you will be saved, but I don't get to decide who is saved. Only YahWeh, Yahoshua, set apart Spirit, they decide who gets to be saved. all these people like I would like claim the death penalty for. I think I'd give them a week. I'd give them the word, and I would teach them hardcore about the word. And like, this is, you are going to die. So it's either you, you know, repent from your sins, do what's right, or you can face your own consequences on your own. On all the ISR Bibles, like I think it was like $150 for a pack of 10. Like, yo, get a pack of 10, go to each prison, drop them off. Here, give these out to the units. Let people read his word. It is very important. Especially those prisons that have death sentences, which I don't think we have a death sentence here in Canada, but I would definitely make it a thing. For a whole week, you're in a cell, and I was thinking a bullet, but some people say it's just too expensive. I don't know. I mean, we could just take some of those FEMA guillotines and just use those. Decapitation. I mean, if that's how you're gonna kill someone, then I mean, like, you're gonna do it on a worldwide scale. You can't think it's that bad if we did it to actual like pedophiles and serious murderers and proven rapists and women who say that they were raped who actually weren't. This world is a beautiful place, but it's so brutal. Praise YahWeh for the truth, for being patient and loving and caring and compassionate. While we sit here and backtalk you and sin against you and treat you like toilet paper we wipe our bums with. Please forgive us stiff-necked and back-talking people. In the name of Yahoshua. Amen.